In this last division, this one was also pretty tough, just based on these teams and their histories and just the competitiveness that usually comes out of the AL East. But the Red Sox are in the basement for me. They've lost some guys to trades, to injury, to whatever else it is. But the way their rotation's kind of stacked up, looking at Bello, Hawk, Whitlock, a couple other guys, I feel like, just kind of mid-tier, younger guys are just kind of still unproven. Names are going over my head just sitting here right now, but overall, like looking at that 1 to 5, it's just not enough to get confident in. I mean, a lot of those guys feel like the fourth, fifth options in a very good rotation. So just underwhelming in that sense. Kenley Jansen kind of feels like he might be just somebody will be traded at some point soon. Beyond him, I'm not really excited about their bullpen either. And then just kind of going around the diamond, overall, I just feel like Rafael Devers is the guy who's going to carry the load for the Red Sox in a lot of ways. They're looking for guys to step up in different positions. Can Trevor Story, come back and have a good year? After many with injuries, Sedan Rafaela is kind of starting off in center field for them. Second base is pretty much wide open. Maybe Tristan Casas has a big year. He had definitely a great second half last year, but just too much around the diamond that I'm just not confident in with this team, and just with the way ownership's gone about this offseason and the lack of aggressiveness. It just feels like they're intending to rebuild. So they've definitely got my last place spot here. Number 4 may come as a surprise, but for me, it's going to be the New York Yankees. Shocking as it may sound, just based on what they did over the offseason and how all in they were. I am definitely worried about Garrett Cole. I think that when I hear elbow injury and the fact that they're trying to assess it, they're trying to see if he may be able to avoid surgery, may wait things out and start a program, this and that. To me, I just feel like they're delaying the inevitable. I don't have a lot of faith that his elbow is going to come back. I feel like, it had been bothering him through spring training up until the present. Like, for me, if you take Garrett Cole out of that rotation, that's just, I'm worried. I'm worried if I'm the Yankees. And, they have been in talks with Jordan Montgomery. That's a necessity at this point. Like, you need to go out and make a deal with that guy because, Stroman has injury concerns, inning concerns. Rodon, you can never know what you're going to get out of Carlos Rodon. I mean, he can be great when he's on, but he can also be completely out. And we've seen him get injured and miss all full seasons and things like that. Cortez is kind of coming on a bounce back. We're just not really sure. And already I feel like with the batting order, at least LeMahieu's out, Rizzo's coming back from his own concussion issues. The prospects that they think they were counting on haven't really stepped up, like a Peraza, Cabrera, to really, cement themselves. I think Soto and Judge are going to be absolute studs. Judge also at times has his own injury concerns to kind of worry about. I do like Verdugo. I think he's a solid OBP guy. But I think just kind of taken all together, Giancarlo Stanton kind of can be up and down or, in and out of the roster too. It's just, there's just too much uncertainty there for me to get excited about. I think Soto is going to have a banner year going into free agency. Like, he's going to be the most exciting player in the American League, in my opinion. But yeah, it may be a bullish take, but I've got the New York Yankees finishing 4th. Finishing 3rd, and, they're on the cusp for me of being that 4th place squad as well. But too much recent history for me kind of outweighs their ability to fall too far down those standings. But I got the Tampa Bay Rays coming in 3rd place. Very unimpressed with that rotation, but sometimes I've gone into years where I'm very unimpressed with that rotation or that team, and they just shock the hell out of me. And they find ways to build new guys, build new, pitchers of their ilk, and man, they're usually pretty dominant once they get into their clutches. So you lose guys like Shane McClanahan, Drew Rasmussen, Jeffrey Springs from last year. Now you go in with Savale, Eflin. They're going to be without Taj Bradley, so they're going right to like Zach Little, Ryan Pepio, who they brought over from the Dodgers for Glasnow. Like, it's not the prettiest looking rotation. I love their bullpen. Their roster They're down Wander Franco, which is a big deal. They could bring up Junior Caminero as a big prospect of theirs, but hoping that like Yandy Diaz, Arozarena, bringing back Brandon Lowe, Isaac Paredes. Hopefully these guys can like piece it together enough to keep this team competitive. But it's not that I'm saying that without my own doubts. Like I have a lot of doubts about how talented this club can be, but it's just like the Tampa Bay way. I just feel like they're going to find a way to be gritty and competitive. But I do think there's going to be more of like a 500 type of season for me than like pushing playoffs or anything spectacular. So I'll leave it at that. My number 2 squad is the Toronto Blue Jays. I really like the addition of Justin Turner. I think they need veteran playoff experience type guys who can still produce at this level to be on that club. I like the fact that they brought back Kiermaier. They signed Joey Votto to a minor league deal. They need more guys like this who are veterans that can kind of push Vlad Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette, maybe a Kevin Biggio in the right direction as players. George Springer is another guy who should carry like a lot of that weight this year, and Dalton Varsho needs to have a bounce back year out and left. They've got enough talent around the diamond for their offense to be a force, and we're just all kind of waiting for them to put it all together. In their rotation, Gaussman is the biggest worry that I have. Hearing, coming into the year, I think is his shoulder. Hopefully it's not something that's going to keep him out. It sounds like he could be ready for opening day, but whenever I hear a big injury like that, like just news about it for a guy, it kind of worries me. But if he was to go down, they still got Barrios, Bassett, and Kikuchi. They could bring up Ricky Tiedemann, who's one of their top prospects. They signed Yariel Rodriguez, and they've got Alek Manoah too, who knows what he can be, but he's still there. So I think they've got enough on the roster in place there to be a competitive enough team. I think they can get to the playoffs, at least according to my rankings, and I got them at 2. And then number 1, team that won it all, for that division last year, the Baltimore Orioles, very young, savvy, type of club, very deep with young talent and some good, mid-career type pieces with like Santander, Hayes, Mullins, Mountcastle, other guys like that, kind of helping the younger core, get established at the pro, level with Rushman, Gunnar Henderson. They're going to bring up Jackson Holiday. They got Jordan Westberg. They could be bringing up Colton Cowser, Heston Jerstad. They've got Kobe Mayo. They've got a lot coming up. They've got a lot of exciting, hitters in that, that mix. It's just going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see this offense and these players all come together. They can weather a lot of offensive injuries and still be okay, which is a really good luxury to have. And that Corbin Burns trade was money. I mean, that was the finishing piece. I feel like they needed to just, kind of cement, their standing, as a playoff team at the very least, in my opinion. The Kyle Bradish injury worries me. Luckily, they've got Grayson Rodriguez. Hopefully, John Means is okay. Tyler Wells, Dean Kramer, like they can handle that back half, of the rotation. They've got Colt Irvin there if they need him. Kimbrell's their new closer, takes the place of Felix Bautista, but they still got Yenier, Cano, other guys, I think, make that bullpen deep enough. So Baltimore to me is a team to definitely watch this year, but, definitely my AL East, champs, I guess, for this year.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great breakdown. I think at least for me, the only differences were, I think you mentioned before, I had the Yankees ahead of the Rays here. I do have my doubts, and it is one of those things where it always feels like the Rays, they're always in it, but I feel like, with just the amount of talent that they've lost this past offseason, I feel like they do take a step back. Grant, yes, it is warranted. It is nice, or it should be warranted that, if the Yankees do lose Garrett Cole for, maybe potentially a couple months, if the season, they need a Jordan Montgomery, right? I think they do sign Jordan Montgomery. I feel like the Yankees, with all the resources they have, they're like, there's, a couple pitchers here and there we can just sign. Let's sign them. Let's make sure that those deals get done. And then with that hitting squad, I feel like they do take, maybe somewhat of a step there. I think it's just having that confidence of Juan Soto and then obviously Aaron Judge there. I feel like that's kind of enough. And then hopefully, someone healthy, Anthony Rizzo as well. I think that should help out, just generate runs there overall. So, but yeah, in terms of like, I guess the top two there with regards to the Blue Jays and the Orioles, it's like, yeah, man, it's definitely going to be a tough one, I think, up there. I do like the pitching staff of the Blue Jays, but yeah, like you were mentioning, some injury concerns, possibly with Gossman there, who I think is one of the favorites to win the Cy Young here. So, and then obviously this ultra talented and improved Orioles team, adding in an ace there with Corbin Burns, like that's a great trade. That's exactly what you need to be doing when you're trying to contend, is getting like a Cy Young type of player. So I think that's great. I think they're making the right strides there, and then yeah, they're going to add in uh, the best prospect in baseball, basically. Like that's going to be interesting what happens there. Like this kind of has like that, 90s Yankees when they added Derek Jeter there too, right? I feel like so. Not to say that that's going to happen exactly, but it kind of has those vibes of just this ultra talented team, then adding in a top young prospect there at shortstop. Who knows what can happen there. So, but yeah, I do like, I think, your picks. But yeah, for me, I'm going to be a little bit more bullish on the Yankees here.